Welcome to the Journey to Happy podcast, a podcast dedicated to help you in the process of getting out of your own way and letting go of the mental barriers that have been self-created that stand on the way of you and the emotional freedom and happiness that you so desire. I am Olga, your host, and in here I'm going to offer you raw but real examples that will help you step into the shoes of becoming the CEO of your own life. Because let's face it, in a world where you can be anyone you want, why not promote yourself to the CEO position? I cannot wait to see you inside. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Journey to Happy. My name is Olga. I am your host, and I am thankful to have you listening today. I'm going to be talking about a theme of the mind that comes up often, and it creates a great deal of disappointment, and that's the creation of expectations and what it's like to live with expectations. But of course, as always, I'm going to be focusing on giving you some tips that you can apply to begin to let go of these expectations. So first and foremost, do you consider yourself the queen of expectations? Do you overthink? Do you find yourself often feeling disappointed or resentment towards others? I know for a fact, many of us do struggle with expectations. I even find myself having expectations without my knowledge. So I will walk into a place and immediately say, oh, I didn't expect it to look this way. And if you had asked me before, what do you expect this place to look like? I will be saying, oh, I have no expectations, except that when I'm faced with the place, I'm like, oh, hold on, I did have some expectations. So personally, my main motive to detox my mind from expectations is to avoid feeling disappointed. I simply do not enjoy the emptiness and the sadness that comes with being disappointed. Nothing good has ever come up in my life from having had expectations. It bites me in the butt every single time. I grew up with a mom and a dad who had this motto of life, which was expect nothing from anyone. And at first I thought, oh my God, that's such a sad way of going about life. But now, as a grown adult who has experienced disappointment, I realized that my parents actually have the key to living life freely from disappointment, which is pretty cool. Let me just ask you, what good has come to you personally, to your life, from having had expectations on others, on yourself, on plans in your life? How has that worked for you? How is that working for you now? Many of us keep expectations around because we think that without that, we can't be assured things will turn out to be okay. Or because without that, we won't have any self-growth or success in our life. So we mistakenly think that having expectations is what allows us to control outcomes, even though time after time after time, we're faced with the reality that we, in fact, control nothing, that we have zero control over outcomes, and that all we can really do is control our mindset, which is why I absolutely love coaching people on the matters of mindset, because mindset will keep you in control of the one thing that you actually have control over, yourself. So let me ask you, do you want to do this work for yourself? Do you think that letting go of expectations might be helpful to you? And if it is, then keep listening to this podcast. And I also, if you want to do more work on this, I encourage you to take my course, detox from the mind, because I actually dive into this, and you get a workbook to go along with it. And that you can find in my website under online courses. You can go at your own pace. Once you subscribe to this course, you will have it for life. So you can always come back to this concept. Yeah, that's only if you absolutely want to take yourself to the next level of really, truly detoxifying your mind from expectations. So here's the thing about expectations, you guys, and why they suck so much. Expectations are fear-based. They reinforce fears that we have about ourselves and about life. So why do you want to be perfect? That perfectionism is always linked to expectations we have of ourselves. Now, I am a goal achiever. I absolutely love setting goals and going for them. I get so much satisfaction from doing that. But I don't do it from a place of perfectionism or wanting to be perfect, because I realize those are fear-based and they will take life away from me. So when we think about expectations, we are often quite attached to this idea of things going perfectly fine, or for us to be perfect, or for our children to be perfect, or for our friends to be perfect, our relationship to be perfect. And where does that come from? That wanting to be perfect? From fear. Sometimes we are afraid of being rejected, of what it would mean to not pull through with these expectations that society has on us, or that we think society has on us, or that we think others have on us. I've noticed that expectations are damaging when we have them for ourselves, but equally damaging when we notice other people have expectations of us that don't match the expectations we have of ourselves, yet we feel that we absolutely have to comply by them. So if my mom expects me to call her every day, and I don't really feel like calling her every day, but I agree to do it anyways, I end up resenting my mom. This is an example. My mom does not expect me to call her every day, but you know what I'm going with this. So these expectations are based on fears of, you name it, something, not being promoted at work. And so therefore I'm going to have these crazy expectations of how little mistakes I want to make in my work. And so the work here begins to notice and really notice, what is it that you're really afraid of? Now, in my experience as a therapist, I can tell you that most humans are afraid of rejection or abandonment. And based on those two fears, we create a heck of a lot of expectations so that we are not rejected and or abandoned. Now, I want to bring your awareness to the fact that if you are rejected or abandoned by somebody, you will be okay. You are a grown adult who can survive, and not only survive, thrive all by yourself. Nonetheless, rejection does suck and is painful, and nobody likes to go through it, and abandonment as well. But just because we have that fear, that doesn't mean that this is actually a threat at all times in our life. So what would it mean to live life without expectations? Well, the thing I suggest to my clients is to live life intentionally. So rather than having expectations, I would ask them to have intentions. And intentions are love-based. It's something that you set your mind to do, and that you do it from a place of success and love and accepting. So how do I want to feel today? When I get up in the mornings, I don't say, be perfect today, Olga. I expect for everything to be done. I simply say, how would I want to feel today? And if I say calm, then I ask myself, what would it take for me to feel calm? And so I intend, and that's when the intention comes in. I intend to do one thing at a time. I think that will give me calmness. And so what I do is I revisit this intention on a regular basis throughout the day. I never feel disappointed when I have set an intention, even if my intention didn't keep me on track. So throughout the day, I realized that I've not been as present as I had intended. It's like a gentle reminder that brings me back to being present. Yesterday, when I woke up, I decided that my intention for the day was to be really present when I was with my son. So that meant not having distractions around me, such as my phone. And when he was looking at me, to really looking back at him and talking to him. And when we were playing, that's all I was doing, playing. And at some point throughout the day, I caught myself looking at my phone while I was playing with him. And it was like a sweet reminder, like, oh, this does not go with the intention of the day. Great reminder. There was no blame, no disappointment, no guilt. I left my phone and I came back to my intention. Because I set the intention, I care about it. And I care about it from a place of love. I just want to connect to my son a little deeper today, right? Whereas if I had this expectation, you are not going to use your phone today because you've been a bad mom by not connecting to your son, there is this fear of like what it will mean for him to not be connected to me. And I would likely feel guilty the moment that I noticed I have now jumped into being on my phone. So the key to intentions is to recognize that they're love-based. So they come from a place of desire, of wanting to feel a certain way or be a certain way. Focus on what you want, not on what you don't want, because expectations are based on what you do not want. So for example, if you're hosting today a group of friends in your house and you don't want them to see the mess in your house, you might have the expectation that everybody is going to be doing something and they're not going to go into that room. But if somebody happens to walk into that room, you're going to be highly disappointed. So this was kind of like not a great example. Let me think of another one. If you have the expectation that when your friends come home, they all have a great time, and then you make it that is your job to ensure everybody has a great time, I would care to bet that you are not going to enjoy your time because one, you have no control of how people feel, and two, you'll be so preoccupied in picking up cues from people's faces and well-being that you are not going to have any moment of presence and happiness and enjoyment. So I noticed that when my clients begin the work of setting intentions, they would say an intention like, I will not stress today. And so they're still focusing on what they do not want, which is stress. So intentions are very clear and direct, but in the direction of what you do want. So if the intention is to not feel stressed, really, that's not the intention. The intention is to be calm. So I want you to focus the intention where you do want. Don't even mention the word stress. What's the point? We don't want your attention to go there. Instead, you would say, I intend to cultivate peacefulness in my day today. And you're not saying how or by when, right? It's just a simple intention, and you kind of set your intention and forget about it. You just move on with your day. There is no specific plan of how and how people need to behave, because all of that stresses you and they come with those expectations. Expectations necessarily attach themselves to control, because how else do you make sure people behave a certain way or things go a certain way? You become a control freak. And in that, I need to tell you, there comes a lot of stress for you and others around you. Isn't it the worst thing when we hear somebody say, oh, I didn't expect this from you? And you feel like you've disappointed somebody, not even knowing that you were to behave a certain way because they never communicated to you their expectations. So let's not be that person. Let's not be the person who is disappointed in somebody for not doing what we wanted them to when we didn't even communicate this to them. I don't know you, but I don't like to be controlled by others. And I can only imagine what it must feel to be controlled by me. So how would I feel if someone had expectations over me? Again, like pressure. So when I do notice people have expectations over me, I say that does not belong to me. Thank you. And I don't take it. If somebody tells me, Olga, it would be helpful for you to do this, and that matches with my time, my disposition, my ability, thank you for letting me know. I'm going to try, or I'm going to do this. Or I'm going to say, sorry, it's not fitting for me. So you can be disappointed if you want to and need to, but your expectations of me are not necessarily my action plan or what I am planning to do with myself. So intentions are not attached to the outcome. They don't, include an I can't or I don't in it. They're very much focused on what you do want, and they are stated very positively. And they involve your behavior only. Ta-da! This is how you release control. Intentions are based on you, your mindset, your behavior, not on your husband doing something, your children doing something, your friends, your coworkers. Those are expectations. So intentions are based on you. When we expect somebody to apologize, who suffers? Ourselves, because we're telling ourselves, I will not forgive until this person apologizes. And what if that person's intentions are never to apologize? Will you then forever be harvesting in your heart resentment? Not worth it. Not worth it. But you can set the intention, may I forgive regardless. May I move on from this event that was painful. So that's my suggestion for you today, is to switch expectations for intentions and to really focus your mindset on the things you want to see. And then ask yourself, what would that require of me? Not the world around you, but you. Again, this sounds easier said than done. I have coached women through this, and I know it takes a while, but I also know that women who have taken this to heart and have integrated it have seen great results in their relationships, at work, and in their relationship with themselves. One client emailed me to tell me that her husband has said to her, I don't know what you're doing, but I am loving the woman I am seeing at home. Because when she let go of the expectations of what he needed to do and by when, she became so much more enjoyable to be around. And actually, she noticed how having these expectations on her husband was taxing on her. She loved it too. So everybody won. It's a win-win scenario. It is so liberating for you and those around you to live life without expectations. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope this is helpful. Like I said, if you want to dive deeper into this kind of work, I encourage you. You will never regret doing this work, really detoxifying your mind from expectations, from anxiety, from the self-sabotage mindset, and the mean voice. All of these are subjects that I dive into in my Detox of the Mind course, and you purchase it once and then you keep it for life. It's an online course. You get to do it all by yourself at your own time. And of course, you can always reach out to me and ask me any questions you have. I hope that this is a helpful subject for you and something that you adventure yourself into trying out. Setting out intentions is super, super powerful. I personally use this on a regular basis myself and have loved very much the impact of living life intentionally. From my heart to yours, thank you so much for listening. As always, subscribe to the podcast if you like it. That way you get notified each time I release a new podcast. I am here every Monday with a new subject. And if you feel inclined to do so, leave me a comment, review the podcast. This actually allows me to bring guests into the podcast, and it gives me an idea of what you guys find helpful so that I can talk and dive into the subjects deeper with you. Thank you so much for listening, and I will catch you at my next podcast. Have you been thinking that it's time to join a gym membership, only that for your mindset? Have you been wanting to be a part of a community where your self-growth is what's being supported? Do you want to have a life coach in your back pocket, easy to reach at any given point? If you've been thinking that this is something for you, Reset Your Mindset might be exactly what you're looking for. It's my newest membership program where you have me on a regular basis answering your questions, where you will get monthly mindset trainings with some of my best tools and most recurring theme subjects in my coaching practice. You will also receive a work along workbook to move along, and you will have Zoom group calls with me to get your questions answered and to process some of those heavier emotions that you just don't know what to do about. If this sounds interesting to you, check out my website at www.olgasway.com and look for Reset Your Mindset membership program. I cannot wait to see you inside.